start the video. I didn't start the video. So I'm going to do this over again. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Talks with Comfort Ajibola. And today is day 10 of my 30-day podcasting challenge. This episode came to me as a spur of the moment, and I thought that it would be so important. It has to happen. Me and this particular person need to have a conversation and have it recorded down in the books, because one day when we are touring the world, people need to know, like, it started here, guys. It started here. So I'm gonna let her introduce herself. Hi, Miss Linga, Miss Helvi.
Hi guys, Helvi Shinedima, teacher by profession but a full-time social entrepreneur.
Awesome. So you and I met because you were having. Oh, sorry. You have your napkin? Okay. So you and I met because you were asked to host a public speaking, what do I call it? Training workshop, yes.
That's right.
And then I came literally on the second day because I got word on the second day that it was happening. It wasn't my fault. I'm always out to do
No
these
worries.
things. But yeah, I only heard about that on the second day. And one of the things that we discussed during that workshop was just having that confidence. Yes, yeah. Thank you very much. So one of the things that we discussed while on that workshop or in the workshop was that self-confidence and being able to just stand in front of a crowd and just have a conversation with people or share what it is that you have to share. And I think that even during the workshop, you could see that it's something that people really struggle with, not just having self-confidence, but like trying to know if I have a voice and what is my voice about. So what has been your experience with that, being a public speaker and, hosting these kind of workshops or even just teaching in front of your students?
Okay, it has been a very good experience, I should say, or learning platform. And okay, how do I put this? Well, being a teacher by profession has actually brought out my public speaking skills or talent in one way or another, right? And I noticed this while I was busy teaching at the high school somewhere in Windhoek North, and my experience is that most people are actually afraid to come out or actually express themselves verbally. Most of them prefer writing,
Yeah.
others prefer being silent. They actually communicate in different ways. So yeah, with regards to the workshop I've given
Yeah.
in the different entrepreneurs and different people from different professional backgrounds,
Yeah.
that was actually an eye-opening a workshop for me, because most people realize or got to realize that they have a voice that they can actually use for something purposeful.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think I would stop here for now.
All right. I think that the one thing, because I remember that I wrote a blog post about this once, is that a lot of people are stuck behind the idea of my voice sounds funny, or people don't listen to a voice like mine. Mine is too high pitched, or it just sounds a certain way. And I always try to tell people that it's not how your voice sounds like. I think it's more on what you have to say
And how you have
and
to
how you have to say it.
and
Because
where you have to say it.
exactly. The audience, yeah. And I think also people think that nobody wants to listen to them. Like, why would you want to listen to me? I'm just this girl, or I'm just this guy. I don't really have anything to say. But I think that if you really think about it, those thoughts and those ideas that go on in your mind, those, secret things, not really secret, but those unique experiences that you have and the opinions that you form about those experiences, those are things that people want to hear or learn from. And I think it's difficult for people to just get past that idea of, no, this is what people think of me, the idea of what people think of them. Because I think that people think of me like this, but I don't actually know what people think of me.
Exactly. Yeah.
Without hearing what people think of me, I just think
False assumptions.
exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. I think the other thing is people also have a thing of lack of self acceptance. So they tend to seek acceptance from outside.
Yeah.
and that becomes very difficult because it needs to start with you,
Yeah.
and that's where confidence is also built, and that's where self-awareness also
Yeah.
comes in. So I think when you're well aware of who you are, you will then be able to stand on a specific ground and communicate whatever message you need to communicate to
Yeah.
an audience. And anxiety is also built on anxiety.
Yeah.
Yeah, late coming,
Yeah.
lack of preparation,
Yeah.
and sense of belonging,
Yeah.
seeking for, yeah,
Yeah.
sense of direction, and the fear of being nervous,
Yeah.
right? So if you fear about being nervous, you will definitely
Be
be
nervous.
nervous,
Yeah.
yeah. And what people would think about you, I think you mentioned that we form up these mental pictures of what we think people may
Think
think
of us.
about us.
Yeah.
And remember what they say, you attract what you think. So in most cases, that might come into existence because your thoughts actually manifest into reality.
That's so true.
Yeah.
That's so, so true. And I think, really going down now, straight, narrowing it down into self confidence, I think that a lot of the times we don't have self confidence. And before we do anything, for example, if when you asked us to present in the workshop, one of the first things that came to my mind was, oh no, I'm not ready. What do I have to say? And you find that even in moments like that, people voice out their insecurities.
Exactly.
But why are we so confident to voice out our insecurities,
But not our.
but not actually our strengths? Like, I find that so interesting because before you ask anybody to do anything, they're like, oh no, not me. Like,
Yeah.
why would you ask me? I'm not tall enough. I'm not, loud enough. This is not. Why are we so confident to? Why do you think we're so confident to voice out our insecurities before anything else?
Okay, I think most people are more confident in voicing out their insecurities because that's where most people press on. That's the point. When you grow up, people tell you you're ugly, you're this.
Yeah.
So I think it's societal pressure, or actually the impact or the effect that comes along with it. And if you're not strong enough to withstand
Yeah.
or overcome or go in a different environment that would actually motivate you to be better or to be yourself or to accept yourself, then that somewhere somehow plays a role, be it when you're a child or when you're older. Because somebody says you sound funny or your English is bad, then you're gonna think everybody else is going to think of it that way. So yeah.
Yeah. No, I find that really it's such a crazy thing, and it's really true what you said. Like, our society plays such a big role
And that's
in all of this, but at the same time, for me especially, at least lately, what I've been trying to put into my mind is that we all have insecurities, no matter who it is, no matter how rich or how poor that person is, no matter how good looking we think they are or whatever, we all have insecurities. So that for me kind of levels the playing ground. So when I go up there, I need to look for a different way to feel nervous. Like, I would just say, okay, maybe these people know more than me, and it's true, maybe they do, but at the same time, nobody would call you here or to a platform if they're not interested in what you have to say.
exactly.
So that's that's just, I feel like that's where I've kind of built my confidence from lately. It's slow, but it's growing.
Getting there.
We're getting there. And I challenged you this year. I said you should do a TED talk. And then you said I
I've got
should
the
do it.
contact details, so we are all going to
Oh
sign
my
up.
days. Guys, we're gonna do a TED talk.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. But I think something that, when I think about that also, is just that, like I said, there's gonna be people who know more than I do. And I always think to myself, what do I have to offer? How do you find what you have to offer or
Um,
what you have to say?
Okay, that's you need to. It starts with self awareness, right? Once you know who you are and you get to pinpoint out all your strengths,
Yeah.
I think that's where the most power lies, right? So, irregardless of how more educated the next person is, how well informed they are, how more richer or poor they are, as opposed to you if you're going to speak about poverty or influence, it doesn't really matter. What matters is what you're good at.
Yeah.
You need to focus on that and just do focus on that specific topic.
Yeah.
Yeah, so once you know your strengths, I think it's not really going to cause a lot of discomfort.
Yeah.
For instance, if you have to talk in front of a crowd because you're well aware, you're well informed, and you have been talking about that specific topic over a long period of time, or communicating it at social events or talking to friends and families. So I think it will be less more comfortable for you to actually put it out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you? There's an idea that's going around, and to put it in a phrase, it's basically there's power in vulnerability. What do you think about that?
I agree with the statement.
Okay. How would you
Yeah.
put that into practice, or how would you show your power through vulnerability?
Being true to yourself, right? In most cases, most people tend to fail when doing public speaking because they tend to try to be somebody else, right? They try to change in so many ways, or try to change their accent, or lie about whatever it is they're communicating, and that sometimes triggers in a bad way. So you need to be humble. You need to be yourself. You need to be honest with yourself and those you're communicating to, because you never know, you might find an investor, for instance, if you're pitching a business idea,
Yeah.
that might want to invest in your business. And if they're to ask for more info on whatever it is you might have presented, it's going to,
Yeah.
it's not going to end well. So you need to really be humble. You need to be honest with yourself and people you're communicating to.
Yeah.
That's how you build trust. That's how you connect. People can also relate to your topic.
Mm.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. So I'm thinking now
And I
of.
feel like you aren't eating anything.
I will. These conversations are so interesting. I'm thinking back to myself when I was like in high school, and those are your formative years, they say, and you really get to more about yourself. You start discovering what the things that you do like, the things that you don't like, and possibly choosing a career, all of that stuff. And I think that one of the things that we struggle with also when we are children, or when we're that young, is that we get so easily influenced, by society, by people, by pop
Social
culture,
media.
everything. Like you get so you just kind of all over the place. What would you say to a teenager right now, or to a young person right now who's trying to just stand firm in who they are despite all of these things that are going on all around them?
Okay. Before I give any advice to that teenager, we need to know, or they need to be informed that you will always have your negative, or you will always have your bad side, right? Nobody has it 100%. They will have, the weak side of them. So they need to then not, they need to use their strength to overcome whatever the weakness, right? So they need to see to it that they stand firm in what they want to do and who they want to become, by not following too much trends that they see around on social media, on the streets, or at school, just to fit in or to look cool, to be regarded as cool. It's not always necessary, because in the end, it's going to be you sitting alone with the consequences.
Yes.
So you need to think about that, and you need to think what it is you really want and why you're doing what you're doing, and how that specific task or that involvement you're in is going to take you from point A to B. How is it going to help you upgrade in your future? So before they take anything or follow anything that might be detrimental to their current state or future, they need to think of the consequences. And I'm not saying they shouldn't have fun. Of course, they're allowed to have fun. But then they
are
need
young.
to minimize it and stick to what is more important. Yeah.
But sometimes when people are telling you that as a child, it sounds, I don't want to say boring, but it just sounds like, you just don't want me to have fun. like you're trying to stop my fan. Why are you trying to stop my fan? I'm just trying to live. I'm just trying to be a kid. But at the same time, you do have to think about the consequences. You do have to think about what is going to happen tomorrow. If I do this today, what is tomorrow going to look like? And it's not something that everybody can do when they're young, but it's definitely something that can pay in the long run.
Yeah, but then if I had a child,
Yeah.
right, um, I wouldn't really be strict towards my kid, but I'm going to be the type of parent that would inform their child like, okay, if you do A, B, and C, these are the consequences, right? And you're allowed to do A, B, and C, but only to this extent. Because most cases, most teenagers rebel, or they actually tend to be more curious to try things because they are regarded as the scary activity,
True.
and then they want to challenge that. Do you understand? So maybe I would
Guilty.
I would also encourage parents to not be too strict to
Yeah.
their kids, but rather let them live life on a normal
Balance.
balance,
Yeah.
yeah, and not be too strict, because when they're too strict, kids tend to do things behind closed doors,
Yeah.
and when they get the opportunity to actually be free to explore,
Yeah.
they just go wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just my mom always told me to be myself. I can get a boyfriend in grade 9, 8.
Hey.
Yeah, but if I'm to do A, B, and C, I could fall pregnant.
Yeah.
So I knew the consequences. Yeah.
That's
But she
pretty
didn't
cool.
make it look like it's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
You are a teacher. So, what are the most profound things that you have noticed about just being around kids and being a teacher and having that kind of mindset, like you said, where you give them like a good balance to you can do this, but there are consequences. So, what have been some of the really profound things that you have learned about children while working with
Kids,
children?
kids are adorable, right?
So adorable.
Yeah, and they easily adapt.
Yeah.
That's a good trait about kids. So if you are to spend with a child for a week, they tend to adapt to the new rules or the new lifestyle you introduce them to. So I wouldn't really or entirely blame kids for the way they behave sometimes, because they learn those things from the neighbors, the environment they're in, the parents,
Yeah.
classmates at school, the teachers, because like kids trust their teachers so much. When a child goes home and the parent tries to correct them, they say, my teacher said
That's true.
1 + 1 = 3, even if it's wrong.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So
That's what
kids
my teacher
adapt
said.
very easily,
Yeah.
and they copy whatever it is they see you doing, and even if you don't see it immediately or in a short period of time,
Yeah.
if you are to compare how they were before you met them
Mm.
and how they transform after some period of time, it is really, really a huge difference.
Yeah.
So most teachers and parents need to really lead by good example. Yeah.
I think that's difficult sometimes because
Each child has a different personality. I get that.
yeah, but then you as the leader or as the exemplary person, sometimes you just want to live your life. Sometimes you just want to. It's true. Sometimes you just want to you know just do things without just be human in that moment. How do you stay conscious, you yourself as a teacher, how do you stay conscious and stay grounded and stay consistent whilst you are still being yourself and being an example to these children?
It's very easy, I should say.
Easy.
Yeah.
What are the tricks?
Okay, first of all, you need to know the kids, right? You need to know their weaknesses, their strength. You need to evaluate what makes them happy and what makes them sad, and what it is they really like. So when one child is down for a day, you might notice, right? So you need to maintain that close relationship with the kids. And once you find out what their strengths and weaknesses are, or their insecurities are, you should actually motivate them to not pay attention to the negative stuff, but rather focus on the positive stuff, right? And not pay too much attention to what the outsiders or the fans may be saying, encourage the kids to do better and be themselves, right? So once the child gets comfortable to be themselves, it gets very easy for you to also fall back and do you, because then they won't mind Messi as a human,
Yeah.
and she needs to be
Be
herself. You
yourself.
understand?
Oh,
So you need to
okay.
explain to them, this is me, this is what I like. Even give yourself a nickname that they might find funny, just to create that comfortability
Yeah.
between you and the child. Yeah, it shouldn't look like you are this monster in front of them, always shouting, or whenever you come to them, it should be strictly
Yeah.
school stuff that sometimes creates a distance between you and the child.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
found it interesting during the workshop when we had that exercise to prepare a speech, and Andrea said he came to your school and that he presented in front of them. I found it so interesting that they had all these pointers for him, and they knew what it was to be a public speaker and to present, and they could even pick up on some things that he wasn't aware of. How were you able to teach them these kind of things? I mean, for me, already they just sound like they're the most self-confident individuals and they are ready to take on the world. How did that happen, and how can the rest of us get in on that?
I have no idea. But yeah, like I said, kids learn through watching, right? So
Yeah.
they normally maybe observe what I do, and
Yeah.
then they pick up. And but there are times I put them in front and tell them, okay, this is, you don't use too much gestures. I
Okay.
don't know why I'm even using a lot of gestures here, but yeah.
Feel
And the
comfortable.
normally ask for feedback when they're
Okay.
done giving a speech, and I also really, I'm very honest with them and frank with them. I don't sugarcoat them
Okay.
unless if it's necessary. When they feel bad about something they shouldn't feel bad about,
Yeah.
and then that's where I come in with a little,
Mm.
and I think they just see me talk and then they copy and paste.
Awesome.
Yeah,
That's so
we
cool.
I remember I only gave them public speaking training twice, if that's a lot.
And the
Yeah,
rest of us is still here.
yeah. So I think they pick up that, and normally you find this that are speaking and they're looking down,
Mm.
right, or on the sides, or they're speaking and giving their back to the class.
Mm.
So those are the ones I normally talk to and say, you need to face the class, you need to face the audience, and don't mention my name continuously, because you're not talking to me, you're talking to your classmates. So feel comfortable, you know those people, you meet them every day,
Yeah.
so feel comfortable.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So, what would be the top three tips that you would give to anybody right now who wants to build self confidence, or who not just to talk in front of a crowd, but just to live life on a daily basis, to go out into the street, to meet a stranger, be able to just have a conversation, or even just to carry yourself in a crowd?
The very first tip I would give. Oh yeah, but I also forgot to mention that one tip I use on the kids is I motivate them.
Okay.
Whenever they are talking and they feel like, "Ah, I'm not good enough, or
Yeah.
I'm not speaking loud enough," I normally go and say, "You're doing good. Keep on going," and then they actually build the confidence from there. Yeah.
Wow.
But the number one tip I would give is, don't try to fit in. Just be yourself.
That's so cool.
Do you, be you, and find people that compliment you, find people that share the same sentiments as you, people that wouldn't judge you for who you are, people that wouldn't try to break you down all the time and always try to see the negative stuff
In you, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Try to hang with people that are more positive, people that also like conversating, and that like not arguments, but having, this deep
Constructive.
constructive
Yeah.
conversations,
Yeah.
or questioning stuff. People that aren't just all about partying.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's wrong to be a party person, but yeah, and you need to attend events, right? Because that's when you get to meet strangers that you'll have to communicate to for
Yeah.
the very first time, and you also need to pay attention to your thoughts, because they really play a big role. Yeah, I wasn't confident until grade 11 when I told myself whatever these classmates are going to do, I need to go out there and talk because I'm not doing it for them, I'm doing it for my marks. You understand? So that's where I got that confidence from, or that's where I got out of the shell. So you need to yes, this doesn't mean that you shouldn't accept criticism.
Yeah.
Yes, you are never 100% perfect.
Yeah.
There could be mistakes you're doing in your speech, and
Yeah.
somebody else tries to correct you. You shouldn't be yeah. So you shouldn't be too arrogant and say,
Yeah.
"I know I'm the expert.
Yeah.
I'm the best."
Exactly.
You can't.
That's the worst.
Yeah, it's really the worst. Don't have that attitude, and practice.
Yeah.
Practice really makes it good, if not perfect.
Yeah.
And ask for feedback. Could be from friends, relatives. Just sit in front of an audience and give your speech, or record yourself, send it to somebody to give you feedback if need be. And what are the other tips? You should watch videos, read a lot of books just to improve your diction, because you can't always be using baby language. There are certain standards for certain events.
Yeah, it's
or
gotta be
talks. Yeah.
Yes.
So you need you need to be how do I put this? You need to be on track.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's all for me.
That's awesome.
And
Thank
be
you.
humble.
Awesome. Thank
You're
you so
welcome.
much for this episode. Thank you for sitting with me, having a discussion.
No worries.
Now we're gonna finish our pizza, guys. Now it's time to finish this
Now it's time for
pizza.
you to eat.
It's time now. It's time. But thank you so much for tuning into this episode. Do subscribe for more. There's more coming, always, always. And check out the podcast Comfort Ajibola Talks with Comfort Ajibola on all your podcasting platforms. And are you on social media?
Easy.
Shout out your social media.
Helvi Shinedima.
On Twitter, Instagram.
No, just Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
I
So
think
do
LinkedIn
follow
as
her.
well, but guys, I'm not really good with social media.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah.
So Instagram and Facebook, do give her a follow, and let's continue the conversation. See you on the next one. Bye.